Kind of fast, kind of not. Either way, always running or talking about it. Welcome to the Kind of Fast podcast, powered by Upward Running. Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome back to the Kind of Fast podcast, the show where we talk running, real life, and everything in between.
We've got a great show here for you today. I think it's a stacked show full of interesting things here. We're going to be talking about the World Championships, which I've spent the better part of the last week consuming, especially since my Clemson Tigers stink. And now I hate football. And so it's just been all running for me the last week. We're also going to talk about the Berlin Marathon. And some interesting things coming out of it.
Yeah, for our What Does That Even Mean segment, we're going to talk about negative splits, what they are, how to get them, and why some runners think that they're super cool to achieve.
And then for our deep dive, it's all about mentoring other runners, specifically beginner runners on that. So we've got some tips for you, some stories from our own journeys, and how encouragement can make or break those first miles for new runners.
And then we're going to wrap it up with a pretty bow with feedback from our friend Tanya, who sent in another question that I think will be very beneficial for all of our listeners.
Yep. So whether you're just starting out or you're helping someone else through the first couple steps of their running journey, or you're about to start the Couch to Marathon, which starts with Upward Running, a week?
On Monday.
A week away there. We're here for you, and we hope you like the show today.
All right, let's get into it. Cue the drum roll. It is time for our segment, What Does That Even Mean? Today, we're talking about something that you'll hear runners say a lot, and that is a negative split.
Yep, it sounds fancy. It's really simple. Can you run the second half of your race faster than your first part of your race? Nothing more complex than that. Now, actually doing it, much harder. But the definition of it, very easy. Finishing faster than you started.
Yep. So basically, if you're running a 10K, to achieve a negative split, you want to run the last 5K of that 10K faster, and then you'll achieve a negative split, which sounds actually kind of complicated now that I just said it out loud.
The reason people want to do negative splits here is because that usually means that you ran a smart race, you didn't go out too hot, you didn't burn up all your energy there at the very beginning, you didn't crawl into the finish line just with the last little bit of everything you've got. You kind of look like a professional who's we just watched on the World Championships, who is finishing strong and looking good while they do it. You're letting yourself finish with feeling strong and feeling confident about your race.
Yeah, it's pretty much the exact opposite of what a lot of us do when we're new. So you know the drill. We're really excited. The race starts and then we go flying out of the gate. Yeah, that's really not what you want to do.
I think every runner who's done this for any amount of time has definitely done this before, learned the lesson the hard way. Negative splits, flip that script. You hold back a little bit early. You get to finish feeling powerful instead of drained. I had a coach one time that talked about banking energy, not time. So if I say banking time, I should probably, explain what that means as well. Banking time is what some people will say, and there might be very unique scenarios where this is a good thing. In fact, one of my races this year, I would say banking time probably a good thing. It was a 5K where you went 1.5 miles downhill and then you went 1.5 miles back uphill to finish. Well, it's going to be pretty hard to run a negative split on a course like that. So in that case, you kind of want to bank some extra time that you can take out that time later in the race and then finish at the kind of time that you really wanted originally. But back to my coach. He would say, bank energy, not time, early in a race. And he says that you will have you have better time in the end because of the extra energy you have at the end, because you didn't worry about extra time at the beginning and using up too much of that energy early on. And so science even would say, and we could spend longer on this if we had another episode on it at some point in time, but science would say you burn energy more quickly early when your engine's still getting warmed up, when you're cold and you're kind of starting off and your heart rate spikes, you're burning more energy at that point in time. than you would, say, later in the race. So use it more efficiently, which is later in the race as opposed to the beginning of the race.
Wait, that's fascinating. Is that why my first mile runs are always the worst mile? Like they feel so hard?
It's
'Cause it's
part of
more
that.
energy?
It's part of just getting your body moving. And I bet if you were to do like a proper warm up before you started recording the actual run and doing that, you might feel a little differently about your first mile. But it's partly just getting going and moving. But it is using more energy to get you going in that first little bit.
Warm up. Who has time for warm ups, Travis?
I don't. Theoretically, here, not practically from my standpoint.
Yeah.
Truly, you have to figure out what works for you. You know, I've had a hard time changing gears late in a race many times in the past. So for me, like negative splits, very hard for me to do. Not that I'm going to go out and like burn it up big time in the front end, but like I need to really run even splits throughout to kind of achieve my goals most of the time. If I'm going to go out there with some type of race plan where I go, all right, at mile X, I'm going to drop my pace by 15 seconds per mile. I have a hard time. My body has a hard time like changing that gear. I'm better off just holding a faster pace throughout and like even splitting. But, that's what every person's got to figure this out for their own.
I was about to say we could not be more different.
Oh,
We
really?
could not be more different.
So you can change gears pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I prefer to start out slower and then get faster every mile. But that also might be because I had the wrong impression of negative splits like my entire life. I thought to get a negative split, you have to run each mile faster.
Oh,
not
each
just
one.
Each one.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing for 32 years of my life.
Until this episode? Oh my goodness. This is great. So let me reiterate what a negative split is, just so we're all on the same page and make sure you have a crystal clear view of what a negative split is. It's just running the second half faster than the first half, not each individual mile. I've done that for a workout before. I've been prescribed a progressive workout with not a lot of definition, and I'll start like super slow and I'll go, can I run a little bit faster every single one for like one of these 20 milers and that kind of thing? And then the thing is, if you speed up too much one of those miles, well, it just gets that much harder later on because now you got to try to do that even more. But that's a hard way to run for sure. I'll give you another reason why negative splits are the way to go. And so for that, I would point you to what professionals do. Professionals are also trying to do negative splits here. And I looked up some things this morning just to reference here. So the men's marathon world record held by Kelvin Kiptum, 2 hours and 35 seconds. That was in Chicago a few years ago. In that race, he ran 60 minutes, 48 seconds for the first half and 59 minutes, 47 seconds for the second half. So negative split there. Let's move down one level to the half marathon. The world record there is held by Jacob Kiplimo, again, a few years ago. Just so you can see, I'm not cherry picking things here. He did not run a negative split. He ran a grand total of 2 seconds slower on the back half than the first half. So, awful close. I'm sure if you'd talked to him, he was trying to negative split, just didn't quite get it there. 2 seconds off there. But let's move down one more level just to reiterate the point. The men's 10K world record held by Joseph Cheptegei, 26:11, which is what? For a 10K? How many of our listeners out there are trying to run that for a 5K, right? Like, wow, so fast. But he did that with a 4-second negative split himself. So if the strategy is for the best people in the world, it can be your strategy as well, whether that's your local 5K attempt or my marathon attempt coming up here in a month.
Awesome. Well, bottom line, if you hear someone say they ran a negative split, that really just means that they ran smart and they crossed the finish line with strength in the tank.
Yep. What you need to know, have a plan, know the course, start controlled, finish confident, and the magic is there in the negative splits if you can pull that off.
If you can pull that off. And now's the perfect time to switch gears and talk about the running news. The World Championships just wrapped up. You've heard us talk about it for the last 3 weeks, and we are going to kick off the news segment with some of the American storylines. They did really well in the championships.
Yeah. spent a lot of time in the last week watching all these races. And so I really could talk about each and every one, but I think that would bore our audience to death. I could just see my wife's face, across the table, just glazing over if I was trying to pull something like that with her. So here's a couple top stories. Cole Hocker, which we mentioned very briefly last week, he was disqualified in the early rounds of the 1500 last week for jostling, basically pushing someone out of the way to get to the finish line and make sure he qualified in the 1500. He was the reigning Olympic champ in that distance and got disqualified. It was big news, and I'm still not sure I agree with that. But he came back. He ran the 5,000 this last week, and not only run it, he won. It was amazing.
It really was. And it's not just that he won the race, it's the way that he won. So he was way in the back pretty much the entire race until like the last 400, I think.
Yeah, one lap to go. He comes across the line in 12th.
Yeah, which is literally insane if you think about it. And then he is famous for the Cole Hocker kick, and he just puts it into drive and he goes, and he wins the race.
It was amazing. 52.6 was his last 400-meter split there, which is, that wins any high school 400 race on its own, or, in most parts of the country. That's incredibly fast to do that at the end of the 5K. Just incredible. And really, the whole field, the 5,000 is this great event that it brings some people from the 1,500 up to run it, and it brings some people from the 10,000 meters down to run it. So you got a mix of different strategies and strengths within it. And when you got a 1,500 meter guy like Cole Hocker in the race, all the other guys have to know, I got to run the kick out of him. He cannot, if it comes down to kick, I'm done. I got to run it. And they didn't do it. They ran it too slow, and they came down to a kick, and he put it on it. And it was a great day for Americans there, for sure.
Could you imagine thinking you're about to win this race, and then Cole Hocker comes right behind you and steals your spot?
And just zoom, right by. One of the things we took away from, you noted it, I saw it as well, but when they interviewed Cole after the race, you could tell, being disqualified, he took it personal. Almost like a football player or a basketball player or some of these other sports where it's a contact sport of like, oh, I see you and I took that personally and I'm going to show you. That was kind of the mentality he had. He absolutely came through and did it there. All right. So I think the next biggest story there was Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who is just a lot, like I know her through and through, but that's still a lot to say there. She is the world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles. This year, as a way to challenge herself and maybe just part of her training to get better for the hurdles or whatever, she decided to come down to what we call the 400-meter flat, meaning just one lap, no hurdles. And I really thought this was a great move for her just as a competitor, because this is a stacked field in the 400 meters flat as well. So it's not like she's coming down to something she knows she's going to win at. Lots of people thought she would not win this race, in fact, but she went out there and won the 400 meter flat there, and in an amazing race. Really enjoyed that one as well. What did you think?
Okay, she didn't just win the 400 race. She was breaking records left and right, her own record. So in the semifinals, she broke her record. And then in the finals, she broke her record. Her first record, I made a note of it, was 48:29. And then she came back to the final and obliterated her already broken record and came in at 47:78, which is a whole new championship record. So I'm super excited for her, proud of her. Go Sydney.
Yeah, it's a record that we didn't necessarily know would go down. Like when she runs the hurdles, you're always on new world record alert because she's broke it several different times and she's just a gamer. Like she is a great racer, always brings it in these big, when the lights come on, she's going to be at her best. This is a record that had been held by Sonia Richards-Ross for 19 years. She is actually one of the commentators generally on a race like this, but I think just had a baby and wasn't there. But they brought her in via satellite there for a little bit to kind of talk about it. But broke it twice, brought it all the way down down to the second fastest time in history in the 400 meters. Only one other racer in 1985 has run faster, and there is, I'll just say, a ton of suspicion around that racer and that race time. But she's only like 0.2 off of what that world record is there. So astounding race there. Paulino is the last name of the girl from the Dominican who finished second. She ran a terrific race as well. She now owns the third fastest time ever run. So ahead of that day, only one other person had ever run faster than what she ended up running. And it came down to the last couple strides there when Sydney was able to pull it out.
Do you think Sydney will try to break the world record now in the 400 flat?
I think it's got to be one of the things that you go after, but she has been one that either concentrates on the hurdles or concentrates on the flat. And so this is kind of the end of a season. So when we get to 2026, which one will she go after? A lot of people want her to do both in the LA Olympics. She, if you notice in her interviews, the way she's phrasing things, it's very intentional. She mentioned in an interview, well, they would have to change. I would love to do it, but they'd have to change the schedules for me to do it. Basically, the races at the 400 meter hurdles and the 400 meters are kind of going on at the same time. And it's not like you just get to show up to the finals. You got to run all the rounds leading up to it. And so they need to be kind of spaced out where one's kind of finishing towards the beginning of the track races and one's kind of finishing towards the end. Then I think she can do both, but she's lobbying essentially the Olympics, and maybe, I don't know who gets to make the decision, the Olympics overall or the LA Olympics specifically, but hopefully they'll work the schedule so that she could do both, because 3 years away from maybe her doing some amazing things and doing both at the same time.
That'd be fascinating to watch. So
Yep.
Olympics, if you're listening, wave the magic wand and change things around.
We want to see that for sure. I was just going to say the last American that I would note here, and again, I could talk about many, but I would say it's Melissa Jefferson Wooden. She's a 100 and 200 meter runner. We live in South Carolina. She's from Georgetown, South Carolina, and went to Coastal Carolina, so there's a little extra connection there for us. But she easily won the 100 and 200, and she was not really on the scene until this year, but I don't know that she lost to anyone all year. Like, she had an astounding year and really strong. Anytime you can hold both those titles, the 100 and the 200 at the same time, it's amazing to do, and that one of our Americans were able to do that.
And not only American, but also from our home state, South Carolina. So I thought that was really cool. Great for her.
For sure. All right, so a couple storylines from outside the U.S. How about Beatrice Chebet?
Oh my gosh, yes. We have to talk about Beatrice Chebet.
Yep, from Kenya. She didn't win just one race. She pulled out two races, the 10K and the 5K there, and ran them both similarly, but both amazing finishes.
Yeah, so when she started out with the 10K, it was really tough conditions out there. It was hot, it was humid, and it was wet at some point in time.
Yep.
But she did amazing when it came down to the final lap. I mean, she completely surged. She closed hard, and she took gold in 30 minutes and 37 seconds. But she wasn't done then. I mean, she wasn't just done with her 10K. A week later, she lined up for the 5K meters against Faith Kipyegon, which we have actually talked about pretty much in depth on the podcast. And she is the reigning queen of the middle distance running, and she beat her. Yeah.
So like we talked about earlier, you got the 1500, the 10K, the 5,000 in the middle. That's what makes it such an interesting race. Faith is world record holder in the 1500 and multi-time world champion there. And then you got Beatrice coming down from the 10K. So who's going to win? Well, they're both from Kenya. They both know each other well, and they both knew what they were going to both try to do within the race. But Beatrice Chebet had the devastating kick, and she's the 10K girl. And the Faith couldn't hang on there at the end.
What's really interesting is that Faith was actually trying to get a double medal as well, but she couldn't.
Yeah, she'd won the 1500 previously. Yep, and Shelby Houlihan a U.S. person came in 4th in that race. So that's a really good comeback for her. She's been one that's been on the comeback trail this year, and so good to see her be able to do that one there.
Any other interesting storylines from Tokyo in the World Championships?
I'll just note one more for time's sake here. El Bakkali from Morocco in the men's steeplechase. That's a 3,000 meter race. Has just owned the sport the last half a decade. He was coming into this race as one of a couple people who had the opportunity to win 5 straight global medals. You say it that way because that also includes the Olympics. So he's won multiple world championships. He just won the Olympics last year. And so he was trying to do it 5 times in a row. And it looked like the race was set up for him. He'd run in the middle of the pack like he normally does. And then in the last lap, he takes the win, and normally in pretty impressive fashion. But he got beat down to the line. A guy named Geordie Beamish from New Zealand had a super impressive last lap and was able to take him out there. And I thought that was an interesting race and a eyebrow-raising race as far as who won that one there.
Fun fact, USA actually walked away with 26 medals. That was the most out of anybody.
Yeah, we did very well as a country with all the different medals across field events, jumping events, racing, relays. Didn't drop the baton in the 4x1, which seems to be the laughing stock all the time. We're able to do that. I did see 53 different countries did win a medal. So it's not like we won them all. 53 different countries won a medal, and a bunch of them winning their first medal overall. So what a great event. I wish people liked it more. It wasn't like, stowed away on CNBC or something like that, or Peacock or something. But it is the current state of track in a non-Olympic year. It's funny, like everyone watches in the Olympics, but you get to a world championship and it's like not quite as much.
Well, I mean, running is becoming more and more popular, so that could change in the coming years. We never know.
Yep.
We could get stuck on the World Championships all day long, but let's change gears a little bit and talk about the Berlin Marathon that just happened on Sunday, which is one of the world major marathons.
Yep, there's a famous fellow that ran this race, and I am overly impressed with this time. So tell us who he is and what he did.
Harry Styles. Some people might know him from One Direction. He is now singing by himself, known as Harry Styles, but he just completed this marathon in 2 hours and 59 minutes. He crushed it.
And it was a hot day too, and it really impressive. A lot of in my social feed, there's a lot of people that either I know or follow that ran the Berlin Marathon. It was quite warm, so to run 2:59:13, I think was the official time there. Really impressive. If you are curious, I think that's 6:50 per mile is what he was able to run there on the course. He signed up underneath a different name. What was that name? Let's see.
Stead Saren. I put it under your name. Okay. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Wasn't listed as Harry Styles, but it was definitely him out there and crushing a sub-3 marathon. That's faster than I hope to do here in a few weeks. So good on you, Harry. I'm impressed.
He actually ran the Tokyo Marathon as well in March. He ran a 3:24. So he shaved a lot of time off in just a few months. So I wonder if he's trying to go after a BQ.
Yeah. He's 31. That means his BQ time 2:55. Probably got to run 2:50 to get into the race if you were with the buffer and that kind of thing. So if you're cutting off that amount of time, and you get it on a day with as actually good conditions, there's no telling what he might be able to do. So impressive, Harry. Impressive.
Very impressive. I can't wait to follow along his journey. And his alias was Stead Serenados.
There we got the name.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But really cool. Also, if you saw someone famous running by you, would you say something or would you just keep running?
Just give an elbow, like something that.
Okay, that's
something that I could come back. I could come and tell the podcast. Like I saw Harry Styles out there. I gave him a quick elbow as I went by. That'd be hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I wouldn't. Yeah, like it's not fun to go. Ooh, that's Harry Styles. But like I elbowed Harry Styles. That would be funny.
And on that note, let's move on to our deep dive of the week.
All right, I'll try to pull us back together here. All right, so today's main topic: how to mentor a beginner runner.
Yeah, so this one's really close to our hearts because we don't start out knowing everything. I certainly don't know everything, and I've been running pretty much my entire life.
Negative splits, new knowledge.
Well, running your first miles can feel kind of awkward, confusing, and sometimes extremely discouraging. And the difference between quitting and sticking with it is often comes down to whether someone has a voice beside them saying, "You belong here," aka a mentor.
Right. And I think experienced runners sometimes can forget that. Once you've been in the sport a while, you don't really think about, what socks should I be wearing, or when's the appropriate time to wear, or how many miles to run on these specific types of shoes, or even what types of shoes should I be running. Like, I found these tennis shoes in the back of the closet. I haven't worn them in 5 years. Is that a good idea? That type of thing. But beginners do ask those kind of questions. And hopefully we're trying to answer some of these through our podcast here. But mentoring really means stepping into that space with encouragement and not judgment.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love that is kind of what we do here at Upward Running. So we've been mentoring runners, beginner runners specifically, for a really long time through our 5K challenge, couch to half, couch to marathon. I mean, Mitchell and Dean said there's been 225,000 runners we've helped.
Yeah, it's been, that's the ones we know about. There's even more, that's been through church groups and things like that are unrecorded. So certainly experts in the field of helping beginners, reach their first set of goals.
So let's start with mindset. Mentoring a beginner isn't just about showing off your PRs or barking out splits like a drill sergeant, talking about your negative splits. It's about being a companion. So you don't have to know everything. What you do need is empathy, patience, and a willingness to encourage them.
Yep. So think of a mentor as a mix of a cheerleader, a guide, an accountability partner. Your job isn't to make someone into a copy of you. It's to help them discover the runner they might be able to become themselves.
Love that.
All right. So Claire, what's one thing you've heard when you first got into running that, what's one thing you wish you heard? Oh, keyword there. Yeah. All right. Let me try that again. So, Claire, what's one thing you wish you heard when you were first getting into running that you did not know?
Honestly, that walking is 100% okay, and it doesn't make you less of a runner if you do have to walk during your runs. I think that was key, and it was ingrained in my head from, elementary school days running that, oh, if you walk, you're not a runner. And so I had that mindset probably until I was 28 years old. A long time.
Yeah. For me, I think it's a different era than I'm in now. Like, I've started as a high school runner and trying to run really fast, from day one of becoming a runner. But I think the thing that I've learned from the beginning, there was a misconception that I had early on, was we would do these epic, big, hard effort workouts, like, finding a trash can to puke in type hard workouts. And I thought that's where all the gains came from. And in reality, that's part of it. Like, as long as you're not getting hurt, like, hard workouts are part of it, but the recovery side of it is the other part. You get better actually in the recovery from the hard work. And I think at the time I was at, just hard charging, all hard, all gas, all the time type runner. And that led to, me getting injured more often than I could have or should have. And so gaps in training and just not truly understanding what the sport was all about.
Yeah, that is perfect for our theme here, is understanding what the sport is about and mentoring new runners. So that actually reminds me of one of my best friends, Taylor, who is actually going through a couch to marathon program right now. So I actually asked her, so what are some things that you would have wished you knew, like starting out running? And so she rattled off a list. And I was like, wait a minute, that is golden. We are using this on the podcast.
That's good.
So yeah, number one is start slow. New runners need to hear you're not racing today. You're building for tomorrow and up to race day. So you don't have to start off running, even a 30-minute 5K.
Or even running a whole single run, even at that point in time. A lot of our Couch to 5K type plans start with walking the first couple of weeks, and then you introduce some running in intervals, and then that becomes more running in intervals, which becomes longer segments and that kind of thing. So yeah, walking and starting slow is part of the plan. And that's really what I would note about this kind of thing is if you are following a plan, follow it to what it says. It's been put together with care and with purpose, and it's meant to get you to your goal by the time of the goal. You don't have to be at your goal day one. You can work towards it.
1000%. And that actually saves you from sending the dreaded text, I hate running. Why am I doing this? I'm never doing this again moment. And Taylor actually texted me that exact thing like a week ago. And to the point where she was like, I don't even know if I want to run this marathon. Like looked into not running the marathon.
Yep. Slow and steady is the way to go. And you just need to trust the process on these things.
Yep. Okay, so her second one was do not compare yourself to others. We've talked about this multiple times on the podcast. I'm sure it'll come up again, but I mean, we got to get in our heads. We do not need to compare ourselves to others.
Yep. Comparison is the thief of joy and running, and your pace today might be someone else's dream pace, and vice versa. All of it's very relative in this sport. And, sometimes I wonder if when I talk about paces on here, or if you talk about a 30-minute 5K and just a throw off comment, you didn't mean anything by that, but like sometimes you say, we talk about paces, what you and I run or others run, and, some other people might think, well, that's something I can never achieve. Meanwhile, we're looking at other people around us and things like that. And we're like, do you see how fast that person is? Like, I could never do that. And so it's all relative. We're all working towards the same type of thing, which is to become the best version of ourselves and get the most out of ourselves, and that kind of thing. But comparison doesn't help anyone. Like, it's just, how can you get better in your current situation?
Yep, I agree with that. And one of the best things I think that we could do is to track our own runs, not necessarily on Strava or the Run Club app, but maybe the One Today journal. So track your runs, write them down, take pictures before and after so you can see how far you've come. I mean, in 2 months, 3 months.
That's good. Good idea there. Yep. What's our next thing?
Next up on the list was hydration. Water's great, but electrolytes can be a game changer. And she told me, Claire, tell me what an electrolyte is. That would have been so helpful. I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you that.
Could be another segment of what does that even mean? That makes sense to me. Although maybe we'll save that for next summer because that would be the best there. But yeah, especially in summer, electrolytes are needed and necessary. And sometimes you can feel drained and kind of sluggish, and really you're just out of whack with your sodium and your potassium and things like that. And you might need to just get some electrolytes in you. And there's lots of different options out there, from your basic Gatorades to things like Tailwind that I take, or Element, which is another supplement that a lot of friends that I know take. So lots of options out there to get those electrolytes in.
Okay, next up, we talked about walking before, but I'm going to bring it up again. Walking. It is okay to walk on your runs. It's worth repeating. Run walk intervals are so smart. The upward running plans for the Couch 2 series starts with run walk intervals. They're key.
There's been lots of people who have talked about the walk run method, even all the way to the marathon, as a strategy to get through and still run fast times. Now, I wouldn't prescribe that personally, but there's no shame in walking. And so just take that out of your mind. If you're a beginner runner and you're thinking, I'm no good at this, I have to walk. Look, everyone's been there. You'll continue to improve if you stick with it. It's not a big deal. Just do the best you can.
Exactly. That's all you can do, is doing the best you can. Next up, she wanted emphasis on how much shoes matter. We've talked about that on the pod before, but these are general questions that people have.
Yeah, lots of beginners think, I've got sneakers in my closet, I'll be fine. And then suddenly you've got shin pain or knee pain or whatever. Truth is, running shoes are essential. It's our one piece of equipment that we kind of have to have. there's just so much pounding that takes place when you're running. There's so much force that goes into the ground, and it's a repetition sport. So, the longer you run, the more pounding that's going to be there. And so getting a good pair of shoes, getting those in a cycle where you're swapping those out every 300 to 500 miles, very important there for a beginner runner.
Another note on the shoe conversation is we were talking about socks and the importance of having a good running sock. So you don't just want to go out to Target and buy the cutesy little $1 pair of guinea pig socks. I say that from personal experience. But socks matter too, almost as much as shoes do, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, or you could end up with a massive blister. You want me to show you a massive blister? Do you think the listeners want to see
I'm nervous.
a massive? No, I would not do that. But even a very veteran runner who's running lots of miles right now can still land a massive blister with very sweaty feet on very long runs with the best socks and the best shoes. So those things happen from time to time. And I am currently working through one myself.
Oh, I'm sorry, but
Yep.
I do appreciate you for not showing us. We'd have to get an E for explicit on this podcast if that happened. Taylor mentions recovery. There's foam rolling, stretching, even ice baths if you're brave enough. Now, I think I remember you telling me you do like a cold plunge sometimes, right?
I have, but all those things are interesting and they are probably helpful. But the top two things for recovery that everyone needs: sleep and slow days or recovery days in between hard workouts. And so those are the most important. If you don't do any other recovery type things, that's okay. Get plenty of sleep and have slow, easy recovery runs after hard or long efforts. Those are the things you need to do. The other things can or can't happen. It's fine, but those are the two things that are important.
Those are great suggestions, and two that I need to work better on, especially in the sleep arena. Okay, the last one on the list is breathing. She said that she wished someone would have told her about the talk test.
Talk test. Yeah, good one. So for easy runs, can you carry on a conversation and not be gasping for air or saying a sentence, taking several different breaths, saying another sentence? If you're doing those type of things, you're running too fast on an easy run. That's pushing you into tempo or beyond effort. And so you're doing it wrong at that point. And I'm just thinking here, like for the beginner runner, like at the very beginning of beginning, they might all feel like you're gasping for air early on. It's going to get better, like 100%. It's going to get better. It's going to get easier. And you might go, I can't run without gasping. And to that, I'd go, okay, follow the plan. And if the plan has you running segments that make you like have to breathe that hard, then okay. But that's going to be temporary. You're going to get to a place not too far away, probably weeks, not months, but maybe months, definitely not years away, where you can carry on a conversation and run at the same time, which might seem like crazy talk at this point, but you'll get there.
So when you think about mentoring a runner, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so I think about giving back and trying to invest in someone else like people have invested in me. That being coaches, that being, if you know my story, starting in high school, there was a senior on the team that kind of took me under his wing. His name was Andy Goodwin. I just met with him in New York a couple weeks ago and had dinner with him. Great time there. But yeah, it's investing in someone else to try to show them the life that I don't know if life is the right word, but like the lifestyle that's been great for me that I think someone else might enjoy if they're already showing those types of tendencies to want to do that kind of running. So, and I've done this in other sports. So like I had great basketball coaches growing up. So I've been basketball coaches even before I become a parent, where I was a basketball coach for younger kids out there because I want to give back to the sport that I really enjoyed. And so I think that's what it's about for me. So for right now, I'm considering leading a 5K challenge at my church in the new year. I'm not committed to it. And really, I think the best thing would be if I found someone to co-do it with me, because I do coach my daughter's teams out there and I am traveling a good bit for work and that kind of thing. But anyway, the reason I would do that is so that I could help other people get into this sport that I really love. Yeah, church groups, a lot of them start in January. So if you're someone who is a longtime runner and would also like to give back and consider something in your own community at your own church, then let us know. We can get you pointed in the right direction on that.
Yeah, I will actually drop a link to the church group in the show notes. As a reminder, it's a 5K challenge. It lasts about 12 weeks. So you start coaching from week 1 with walk run intervals, and then you finish up the 12 weeks at a 5K race.
Yep, in your local hometown. You can always find one wherever you are, unless you're in the middle of nowhere. But generally, you can find a 5K almost every weekend somewhere.
All right, it's time for Kind of Fast Feedback, where we take your questions and share a little encouragement along the way. Today's question comes from Tanya again. Shout out, Tanya. She asked, how long should one wait to sign up for a race after they've just finished one? For example, I'm training for a 10K. After that 10K, when is it okay to sign up for a 5K? The next weekend, 2 weekends later, or a month after?
I think I would need a little more information to answer this correctly. So I'll answer it both ways that she could be going. Are you signing up for, or are you running in these races you're talking about? If you're signing up for something that's further away, then immediately. Yeah. If while you got the energy and like the excitement of finishing one, sign up for another one and go chase that one. But if you're saying, I want to jump into another race the next weekend over, I mean, it's all about what your goals are for that type of thing. You're not going to really improve fitness, say, one week to another. But if your goal is to run a bunch of races and grab a bunch of medals or whatever that is, then go for it. Like, no problems at all. For me, I am a train really hard for a specific goal. Go see if I can achieve that goal. Train really hard for a specific goal. See if I can go get that goal. That's kind of how our training methods are set up with upward running, or 12-week segments kind of in between races. And so that would be the philosophy I would go after. But as far as signing up, it's really about what your goals are there. What would you say?
I completely agree. It depends on what your goals are. If you're trying to race, I wouldn't suggest racing back-to-back weekends. My upcoming race, October 25th, is the one I've obviously been training for. We've talked about it a million times on here, but I'm not signed up for another race until November, like the end of November. The Turkey Day 8K.
Sure. The next race I've kind of got in my mind is not till the end of February, which would be a half marathon there, like as a real race to really go after. So that's how I think about it.
Now, I will say, when I finish a race, I am usually looking up runningintheusa.com and finding a next one.
Great website, runningintheusa.com. I use it all the time looking for, what the next race might be, or destination race, or I got a hurt shin a couple weeks ago and I'm like, can I go race this weekend before this thing gets bad? So yeah, use that website all the time.
Great question, Tanya. I hope we answered it. Bottom line, listen to your body. And I mean, hey, sign up.
Yeah. But do the training. Do the training. Work hard. Go see if you can win.
Work hard, play hard.
Win as in the aspect of for your goals. No, it's not win or bust. I'm not trying to say that.
All right. Speaking of winning or busting, Travis, you're training for a huge marathon coming up. What's on the schedule this week?
Big. So I'm 4 weeks out. And let me just say, look at me in the face. I'm happy. I can't remember the last time I came into the last hard week of training and I was healthy and I was running well and I felt like my fitness was coming around, and that's where I'm at. So it's hard workouts this week, 2 of them specifically, one tomorrow, one Saturday. It's part of a long run. And then we begin the 3-week taper down to race day. So trying to get all the rest and all the recovery in between runs this week as we are in that last little bit of hard work here.
Oh, I'm happy for you. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm in a good spot. How about you?
Good. I've got a hard week coming up. To be very transparent, I am nervous about this week. I am very nervous about this week. I've got a speed workout tonight, 8 miles. So I have to start. I've got a mile warm up and then 3 miles at an 8 pace, 2 miles at a 7:50 pace, and then 1 mile at a 7:30 pace.
That'd be hard for anyone. So
I'm nervous.
everybody but Cole Hocker would have a hard time with that one.
So I am in the thick of training. I'm nervous, but it's fun. And I think that's a good, healthy spot for me to be in.
Yeah. It means it's a big goal and it's a challenging race distance and pace you're going after. And that's what makes it interesting.
Just stay tuned. I will report how this workout went on the pod next Friday. And with that, our time is up. Don't forget, this podcast is powered by Upward Running, a community built to help you run with purpose, stay motivated, and find your people. As always, this journey is more than miles. God is in every step. The good runs, the tough runs, the bad days. He's in it with you through it all.
At Upward Running, this is where faith and fitness meet, and we'd love to run with you. Join us at upwardrunning.com/kindafast. That's upwardrunning.com/kindafast. And if you use the code kindafast, you get 2 weeks free to try it out. And we get to know that you heard about it from the podcast, which is always a fun thing for us to see. So there you go.
Yep. We'll be back next Friday with another episode.
And hey, if you like today's episode, if you could do one specific thing for me, like this would be huge. I just came out of a meeting right before I came in here, and it was with a company that helps companies like us get on podcasts, which was interesting, like other podcasts out there. And he said, when we vet a podcast, it's all about the number of reviews. And if they don't have enough reviews, we don't even look at them. And this podcast does not have enough reviews yet. So if you could just please go into whatever you're listening on and give us a 5-star review and a quick note or two about what you think about the podcast, we would really appreciate it. And it would help the algorithm and all the things, get us out there a little bit more and get more people listening to the podcast.
I love it.
There you go.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
We got this.
Yeah, we do. We're not going to mess up at all.
A negative split means, so if you don't, nope, you already said that.
It wasn't me messing up.
God. All right, let's start this section off.
Harry Styles, he's a popular pop star from formerly One Direction. He ran the Berlin Marathon.
Can you name one of his songs? No!
You can hear them.
I thought you'd be able to get that.
I don't know the names. I can sing them though.
Okay. Cut that out. All right, so you want to just start this section all over?
Name one of his.
I don't know. Watermelon, sugar.
Watermelon, sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Wow. I think it went good, minus the bad. Bye.